All right, good morning. Welcome to Outdooraholic. This is our California trip. We left Texas yesterday, El Paso, Texas. We rode through southern New Mexico up to Lordsburg. Then we took 70, which is the Old West Highway, out through Arizona and all the way up to Globe. Then we got on 60 and took the Gila Penal Byway through a really cool canyon and through a bridge and tunnel, which we'll show you some cool footage of, down into Apache Junction on the Superstition Highway, and came out to Mesa. This is the Hershey Mountain Park Campground, which was an awesome place. Yesterday during the day on our ride it was 60s and 70s. Last night it got down into the mid 50s, and this is just a beautiful place. We'll show you some footage here as well, but we're surrounded by saguaro cacti and yucca plants, so it was a really cool place. I mean, there's birds flying around and rabbits hopping around in our campground. It's been really neat. So we were going to show you a montage of our ride yesterday, going through New Mexico, Arizona, and then we'll hope you join us for the rest of the trip as we go through California, Nevada, Joshua Tree, and Death Valley. So we'll see you on the road. Guys, we're on day 2 going through Arizona. We're almost to the California border. It's been smooth sailing up until right now. It just started raining. It got a little overcast as we were coming into Quartzsite. We stopped for lunch, got back on the road, and as soon as we did, boom, it started raining. So it's not too bad yet. We're about an hour and a half from Joshua Tree National Park. We really enjoyed our campsite last night. We stayed at the Hershey Mountain Park Regional Park. It's part of the Maricopa County Park System. If you're into developed campgrounds, it was awesome. A nice shower house, restrooms, beautiful area, the scenery, saguaros, and just all kinds of desert shrubs. And the tents, the campsites were tucked up right into all that. We had a huge saguaro right in our own campsite, so that was nice. During the night, we were hearing coyotes, wailing and howling and barking in the distance, so that's fun. And then this morning came out right as the sun was coming up, and there were some fun little cottontail rabbits hopping around our campsite. All kinds of birds. I mean, if you guys are into bird watching, there was tons of birds, even just in our campsite. We didn't go anywhere. We just stayed right in the campsite. Wrens, hummingbirds, finches, sparrows. There was a hawk flying overhead, thrashers, woodpeckers. I mean, that was just while we were eating breakfast and tearing down camp. So I got some really good pictures I'll be putting on my Instagram page. If you guys are at all into wildlife photography, go check it out. It's Outdooraholic _ and then EP for El Paso. Alright guys, crossing the Colorado River into California. There's the sign right there, California State Line. We made it! So one cool thing about traveling is how the scenery changes. You get to watch it just transform as you're going. We used to travel by airplane all the time before we started having kids. And so you fly there, it's quick, but you only see where you're at and where you end up. You don't get to see everything in between. So that's one thing I really like about traveling by vehicle, whether it's a car or a motorcycle, is you get to see everything in between, how the landscape changes. So since we started doing road trips about 7 or 8 years ago, we've gone everywhere. We've been all the way to Maine, down to Florida, Washington State, California, everything in between, all over the place. Like Johnny Cash said, I've been everywhere, man. Even just today, it's gone from the big city of Phoenix, some mountainous areas, then farmland, then crossing the Colorado River, little towns here and there, flat desert, nothing as far as you can see, and now we've got these cool mountains all the way around us, and we're getting ready to come up into the Mojave Desert where Joshua Tree is located. It's going to change all over again. mean, check out the views right there of San Jacinto Mountain. We camped last night at the Joshua Tree / Palm Springs KOA. It was the only place we could find a campsite for the night. Everything in Joshua Tree was booked. But today, we are going to be doing the Palms to Pines Scenic Byway, which starts in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, and then heads up into the Santa Rosa Mountains. It's Harley Davidson's Ride for California as part of their 50 Rides, One Nation program. And we're excited to do it. So we woke up this morning, it was pretty windy at our campsite. Let me check the weather. I pulled it up and it said high wind advisory from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. all in this area. It said gusts up to 70 miles an hour. So right now it's 8:30 in the morning. This wind advisory doesn't start till 10 and it's supposed to get worse as the day goes on. So the high winds are really supposed to be this evening. So we said, you know what, let's go ahead and knock out the Palms to Pines. When we get up to Banning, we'll reassess, because there's also a high wind advisory all the way up to Death Valley, including where we were going to stay in Stovepipe Wells. So I think what most likely we're going to do is after we do the Palms to Pines, we're going to head east, try to get back into Arizona. We at least wanted to get the Palms to Pines since we were this close and we came this far to do that. And we may have to do another trip for Death Valley. Alright guys, we just left Idyllwild, heading to Banning. Just went over 6,000 feet of elevation, and the roads are clear, but there's snow all along the sides. It's a beautiful day, although the temperature, it is chilly. But man, this is an awesome ride. Definitely recommend checking it out. So as it stands right now, we're going to get down and head east towards Arizona. But it's always an adventure, and even if we don't get Death Valley on this trip, we'll be back and we'll get it for sure. Alright, we're coming down the mountain below 5,000 feet now and still dropping. Look at those views to the right. I'm not sure what mountain that is, but I'll look it up. It's just real pretty, all snow-capped and above the line of clouds. We are battling some high winds on the way down. But man, look at that view of the valley down below. Woo! Super windy. Look at that hawk right there. That was cool. That was a red-tailed hawk. Alright, and we made it down the mountain. Woo! We're on Interstate 10 heading east from Banning, and the wind is blowing dust and dirt, small rocks. Not fun. Alright guys, we're back. The weather got so bad after we stopped. We ended up stopping at Palm Spring Harley Davidson, and I had to take the camera off. The wind was so bad, the dust blowing around. I didn't want the lenses to get scratched up. When I got off the seat, I had, you know, small gravel, I mean really tiny, but gravel in my seat under it had just accumulated while I was riding. My wife had to dump out her cowboy boots, and you know, rocks and sand and gravel coming out. It was pretty nasty. So we're just on the Arizona side of the Colorado River. We grabbed some lunch super late. It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock when we got lunch. We sat around after we ate and looked at the map, and you know, we went over a whole bunch of different plans. So we ended up getting a hotel. We just booked a hotel in Goodyear. So that's where we're headed now. We should get there a little bit after dark. But right now, I mean, the weather is kind of crazy everywhere it seems. There's all this wind on the west coast, and then Texas is just getting pounded with cold and, you know, freezing temperatures, ice, snow, everything. Even El Paso, where we live, where this whole past week it's been in the 70s. Right now, for tomorrow, they're calling for 1 to 3 inches of snow, 35-mile-per-hour winds, and highs I think in the 30s both Sunday and Monday. So we're kind of, luckily we're the Phoenix area, you know, Tucson still seems pretty good, but we're gonna have to get home at some point, and that means we're gonna be going into some very cold weather. Alright, we are still heading east on I-10, violating one of my rules for road trips, which is never take the same way you went. I always like to make a loop out of things whenever possible, but unfortunately with the weather today, we kind of literally got blown out of California. Anyways, the weather is much improved over when we were in California. It is still breezy, getting occasional gusts. But yeah, the sun sets in about 5 minutes. We're still about an hour and 5 minutes from our hotel. We're staying in Goodyear, Arizona tonight, outside of Phoenix. We were hoping to get into the city before it got dark. But anyways, we'll see y'all later on. Alright, we made it to Glendale or Goodyear. I'm not even sure where we are at the moment. Still about 15 minutes from the hotel. Not sure what stadium that is. Is that the Cardinals? Yeah, it's gotta be the Cardinals. State Farm Stadium, Arizona Cardinals. Anyways, very cool. It's been a long day. We're tired. Cannot wait to get to the hotel and crash. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll have another adventure. We're not sure what it's going to be yet, but we'll figure it out. We'll have a good one, and hopefully you guys follow along. We'll see ya. Alright, we are back on the road in Phoenix, Arizona. So yesterday was a stressful ride. Going through all that wind in California, having to change our route. Both of us were sore from hanging on, going through that windstorm. By the time we got to the hotel last night, we were spent. So we walked across the street, we checked in, then we walked across the street to an Outback Steakhouse, had a nice dinner, had some drinks, went back to the hotel, and we slept very, very well. By the time we got up, made our plans, it's already 11 o'clock by the time we got on the road. So we came up with a new game plan. We are headed to Tucson today. We're going to go to the Saguaro National Park. I've been there before years ago, but it'd be good to go back, and I haven't been on a motorcycle. So then we're going to camp on the south side of Tucson, and then tomorrow, which was our day to go home, but due to weather and everything, right now it's snowing. We live in El Paso, Texas. It's snowing. They're expecting up to 3 inches of snow and high winds, ice, everything today. So we're probably going to stay out one more day, one more night, and make it a 6-day weekend. Tomorrow the plan is to head towards Tombstone, and we haven't figured out exactly where we're going to stay. We might try to stay in Tombstone, maybe Bisbee, but once you get past there, there's not a whole lot, because we're going to try to take Highway 9 through like Animas, Hachita, Columbus, so right along the border. So should be a nice ride, but there's not a lot out there. Alright guys, we just stopped at In-N-Out for lunch. We don't have these in Texas, so whenever we come to Arizona or California, gotta at least stop once. So here's the obligatory In-N-Out stop. Alright guys, if you look behind me here, we just passed Picacho Peak. This rock formation is located between Tucson and Phoenix. If you're driving on Interstate 10, you cannot miss it. It's about 45-50 miles north of Tucson. It's a really cool rock formation, kind of dominates the landscape. It's just got a really cool, style and look to it, appearance. I hiked it several years ago up to the top. They have a hiking trail, and when you get to the top, there's chains in the rock to help pull yourself up because it's very steep. But once you get up there, really cool views of this area. Picacho Peak was the site of the furthest west battle in the American Civil War. Back in April 1862, Confederate scouts coming into the area skirmished with Union troops out of California right here. And back then in 1862, Arizona was not even a state. It was still a territory. It's pretty crazy to think that there were people still fighting and dying way out here in the territory of Arizona during the American Civil War. get a lot of support. I've been sharing pictures of our trip on some Facebook groups. Long Distance Riders, Harley Davidson Owners Group, unofficial page, Harley Davidson Road King page, Harley Touring Bikes, Motorcycle Roads and Trips, Motorcycle Camping and Touring page. So we've been sharing pictures each day of our trip, and we've been getting tons of positive feedback from everyone on there. I want to thank you guys for that. Lots of new subscribers on the YouTube channel coming from there. Lots of tips and advice, things to check out. So we really appreciate that, and I hope you guys enjoy the video once we get it made and put together. I hope this is a positive thing. Let us know your thoughts. But what they wanted to bring up is, you know, it's February. It's not the ideal time to be doing motorcycle trips. We don't have a week off of work, just a holiday weekend. You know, but seize the moment, carpe diem. Get out there and do it if you can safely. You know, you don't have to wait for the perfect opportunity. If that was the case, we definitely wouldn't be out right now. And it's been an awesome trip. Obviously, we had to deal with some weather, and we're still going to have to deal with a little bit of weather, but we did it. So one of my favorite quotes is, 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did do. So throw off the bow lines, sail away from safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sail. Explore, dream, discover. I think it's wise words. Get out there, have that adventure, do that trip, ride that motorcycle, explore those national parks. Alright guys, we are just leaving Tombstone, Arizona. You can see right up here on the right is the OK Corral. This is the site of the famous gunfight. So Tombstone was founded in 1879 by a man named Ed Schifflin. He was a miner and prospector, and when he first headed out this way, somebody told him the only rock you're going to find out there is your own tombstone. So when he struck silver here, he named his claim Tombstone. Pretty much overnight, Tombstone exploded. Buildings started going up, people moving in, became a pretty big find for silver mining. Brought in a lot of people, which then brought in a lot of businesses to cater to those people, mainly single men mining. So a lot of saloons went up, brothels went up, gambling halls, and Tombstone kind of had a reputation for being a wild town. Shots being fired in the buildings, people being shot in the streets. Then with all the wildness going on, they made a law in the town where you had to turn in your guns when you came into the town. First of all, if you haven't seen the movie Tombstone, you probably want to pause this movie and go watch it, because it's a must-see. The clans came into town armed. Somehow that word got to the Earps that they were behind the OK Corral and that they had their guns on them. The sheriff told them not to go, said he was going to take care of it. They went anyway. A couple of the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday. I don't think anybody knows what happened exactly, but at the end, there were 3 men dead, all on the cowboy side, the clan side. And that started a whole train of events, which resulted in the death of one of the Earp brothers a few days later, and then a revenge ride by the Earps to go and kill a bunch of the cowboys. So all kind of started right there at the OK Corral. Tombstone is called the town too tough to die. It's been through a lot and it's still rocking. We had lunch at the Crystal Palace, which was originally built back in the, I think it was 1879. I think it was built right away. It was originally called the Golden Eagle Brewery, and it burnt down in 1882. It was rebuilt in the exact same spot and called the Crystal Palace, and they've been there ever since. So it's a pretty cool piece of history. Good food, good burgers, good salads. They also have steaks and stuff. It's a nice restaurant. There's lots of cool stuff to do in Tombstone. They have reenactments of the gunfights twice daily. I think we saw 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. There's old-timey photos. There's rides on coaches, on a stagecoach through the town. Lots of shops. Obviously, we checked out Tombstone Harley Davidson and went to a few other shops around there. But it's just a really cool place to visit. You could definitely spend a day walking down the street, eating, hanging out. So now we are back on the road. We're going to lay down some miles, and we'll see you in a little while. Alright guys, this is the mountain town of Bisbee, Arizona. Elevation 5,300 feet, founded in 1880. It's a cool little mountain town. It's got some cool shops, restaurants, hotels. We were originally planning on eating lunch here, but we got a little hungry while we were in Tombstone. But it's a cool place if you're in the area, especially in the summer, because it's up here in the mountains a little bit, kind of tucked away. A little cooler temperatures to beat that Arizona heat. Welcome to Bisbee. And there is not a lot out here. This is US Highway 80. We're past the border town of Douglas, Arizona. This is the southeast corner of Arizona. Oh, Javelina, right there. Usually there's more if there's one. So Javelina they're actually collared peccaries, is their official name. They're native to this area. They're not like normal pigs that were brought in by the Europeans. Javelina are native to the Southwest and Mexico. So they have tusks that come out of their mouth. They can also be very aggressive when they feel threatened. They're not one to shy away from a fight. Alright guys, this is the Geronimo Surrender Monument. It says near this area back in 1886, Geronimo and the last of the Apache surrendered to the U.S. Army, thus ending Indian warfare in the United States. So we just crossed the state line. We're back in New Mexico now. We stopped in Animas, New Mexico, got some gas, and we are cold. So it's only getting colder as we go. We decided when we get to Hachita, we'll head north and we'll stay the night in Deming. This is Highway 146 that goes north from Hachita up to Interstate 10. We are coming into Deming, New Mexico. The sun's getting ready to set. There's snow along the side of the road now, left over from yesterday when it snowed. It hasn't melted, and it is cold. It's a good thing we're stopping here because the sun's going down and the temperature's going to drop even more, and it's still much colder than this in El Paso right now, obviously with a lot more snow. So yeah, we're going to stop here, have a good meal, nice hot meal, get a good night's sleep, and then we'll make it home tomorrow. Alright guys, we are pulling out of the hotel here in Deming, New Mexico, where we stayed at the end of day 5, and this is the beginning of day 6. So we're going to call this a 5 1/4 day trip because we're only about 2 hours from home right now. As you can see off to the northwest, skies are looking dark. There's a high wind advisory in Deming, which starts in about 30 minutes. That storm is blowing in, bringing gusts up to 45 miles per hour. So we were trying to time our departure to let it warm up a little bit, but still get out before the wind and the storm and the rain starts. And I think we did pretty good. I think it's around 40 degrees. Alright, there's the giant Roadrunner overlooking the city of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and the Oregon Mountains. The Roadrunner is the state bird of New Mexico. We see that giant Roadrunner, we know we're about an hour from home. Alright guys, we are leaving the land of enchantment and entering the Lone Star State. Welcome back to Texas. Although it sure does not feel like Texas right now. The weather dropped again. When we planned it out yesterday, we were hoping it'd be in the 40s, low 40s. It's back in the mid to low 30s again. But hey, we made it. The roads are all good. We're only about a half hour from home. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. I really hope you guys enjoyed the trip. We had a blast. Weather started out amazing. We got that crazy windstorm in California, great weather again in Arizona, and now these frigid temps in New Mexico and Texas. But hey, it's an adventure. We had a great time. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And before we end it, I want to give a shout out to some of my friends and coworkers here in El Paso. Yesterday we were coming back into town. We stopped in Deming. It was cold, not the best weather, and I had several people offer to drive out there with the trailer and pick us up, bring us back into town. You know, motorcycle riders in general are great people, but that was above and beyond, and we really appreciated that, even though we're able to bring it back in ourselves. So thank you guys, be safe out there, and we'll see you guys on the next trip.